The mistakes of fashionable Vipassana. Taking a 10-day Vipassana course has now become a fashion. Then you can boast, I set a course of 10 days in silence and sitting, not really meditating, 9 hours a day, and this without using my cell phone. Then many upload a video about their great experience without talking almost anything about their inner experience, but more about the food, if it was good or not. They say proudly, I have said 3 times Goenka silent retreats. But Vipassana is not sitting in silence, but to let these young people take such a course without previous experience or preparation to understand what Vipassana is and what is it for, is criminal. Instead of really meditating, they struggle with the pains in the legs and the back. This prolonged pain can even damage your knees for months. But they are told that they should do nothing to relieve the pain. Just scan the body from head to toes in the hope that the pain will go away. You have never heard what Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutras about posture? It should be stable and pleasant. He doesn't say anything about pain. And how do we achieve a pleasant posture? With previous exercises for the legs and the back, and by means of relaxation. In a monastery in Thailand, I gave every morning 1 hour of exercises to avoid these problems and give instructions for correct posture. During the time of sitting meditation, the meditator should check the posture constantly and not just screen the body without correcting anything. We are not sitting like martyrs or masochists who endure the pains without doing anything to avoid them. In the Eightfold Path of Yoga, the body is first. We have to walk it with asanas, with postures, with stretches, so that the knees are flexible and the back strong and the body balanced and relaxed to reduce pain. If not, pain in the body constantly distracts you. Not sitting through pain. If the legs start to become numb, first you just hold on for a while. But if these pains gets worse, you have to do something. And what? Slowly shift the front leg back and the back leg forward. With stretching exercises, you take away the pain. Why suffer if you can easily solve the pain in the knees? Then you return refreshed to your meditation. The body scan. In Goenka's method, which is not the Buddhist method, you scan the body from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes. Now what about the fingers, the hands, the face, the joints? A meditator needs a detailed knowledge of his body by having worked it through. Most people cannot direct their attention on a specific body part and hold it there for a while. You always have to return to the posture and correct it. Meditation is not torture. And the breathing. Most people have no idea how they breathe. And suddenly they have to watch their breathing, and this for hours. In the method invented by Goenka, meditators should concentrate on the upper lip. No Buddhist scriptures mentions this. If you focus too much on the nose or the lip, this will cause tension in the head. The Burmese teacher Mahasi realized this and shifted the point of attention to the diaphragm. With this, you can release the upper part of the body and settle it on the triangle formed by legs and hips. To start with breathing is wrong. Here one can see the little knowledge Goenka had about the inner work. For some good reasons, yoga starts with asanas. A body that can sit still and relaxed calms the breath. And that calms the mind. But Goenka starts the other way around with the breath. And now the mind. For many young people, the big problem is the lack of external stimuli. Generally, they have their cell phone glued to their ears for hours. And now they cry, "My brain is screaming for stimulations. I want to read the news, scan the Facebook, watch a movie." All these are stimuli from outside. But if you have rich inner experiences, you don't need to read any news. There are so many new discoveries inside that all the news and Facebook become boring. Then the mind goes on thinking and thinking and thinking. Sure, what else can the mind do? But you can decide what to think, and not what your unruly mind wants to think. Do not judge. And now comes the most serious mistake of fashionable Vipassana. The key word for this error is do not judge. Leave things as they are. Just observe. And where is the error? If you do not correct, but only observe, you stay the same. With all your errors accumulated for years. But this is not what Buddhism teaches. It wants you to correct your mistakes with right view. Improving something obviously implies a judging. You say, I don't want to stay as I am now. I want to change. Just observing with bare attention, without changing anything, is necessary at first to realize in what state you are in. For a while you observe what is going on inside you. You are the famous observer who does not intervene, but this is only the first phase. But if you know why there is so much pain in your legs, you can change it. If you don't know how to change it, you have to leave it as it is. You have stiff legs because you did not do any exercise to gain some flexibility. Observing pain without changing, without reacting to do, it does not change anything. It only damages your knees. But you hope that by just observing the pain, it will pass. Because you have heard that everything is passing, everything is just temporary. Even the worst pain passes. Yes, when you get up. Otherwise, you become so dull that you don't feel the pain in your legs anymore as long as you sit and don't move. But you will have difficulties getting up from your seat. And then the pain is back. Then people start having strange sensations, like my entire body was full of good vibrations. Old patterns were leaving my body. Or they have such marvelous sensation, like I felt that my body totally dissolved. Even such mad things like I felt one with the whole universe. Do these people have any idea how big the universe is? Everything sounds so great. But as soon as you leave the soothing environment of the retreat center, all these marvelous states disappear. And only the memory of them will be left. Haven't you heard that everything is passing, is transient? These marvelous states too. On the Eightfold Path of Buddhism, before the number 7, sati, or mindfulness, and before the 8th, samadhi meditation, there is a number 6, right effort. Right effort implies to exert oneself to develop wholesome qualities and eliminate unwholesome qualities. Such an effort does not leave things as they are, but makes an effort to change them. It consists of 4 parts. First, the effort to expel unwholesome qualities that already have arisen. 2, the effort to prevent unwholesome qualities, especially greed, anger, and ignorance, from arising again. 3, the effort to arise wholesome qualities like loving kindness, compassion, equanimity. And 4, the effort to strengthen the wholesome qualities that have already arisen. And what is right effort? Here is what the scriptures say. The monk arouses his will, puts forth effort, generates energy, exerts his mind, and strives to eliminate unwholesome mental states that have already arisen. 2. He arouses his will and strives to prevent the unwholesome mental states to rise again. 3. He arouses his will and strives to generate wholesome mental states that have not yet arisen. 4. He arouses his will, puts forth effort, generates energy, exerts his mind, and strives to maintain wholesome mental states that have already arisen. This is called right effort. Does that sound as just let everything be as it is? And it's not changing anything? And in such a way avoiding judging? The ultimate goal of Vipassana is not to torture the body, nor the scanning of the body, nor the observation of the breath, but insight and deep inner vision. That is what Vipassana means. That you realize the three characteristics of life: anicca, impermanence, that everything changes. 2. Dukkha, suffering, dissatisfaction. Because everything is constantly changing, you will never reach a complete and lasting satisfaction. And 3. Anatta, not self. Your ego is not something fixed. It is constantly changing and changing. So mere observation is not enough. As I said, this way you will stay the same and nothing will change even after 10 days of sitting. You only realized all the problems that are inside you. For example, your body can't sit in the same posture for long. It wants to change the posture all the time. You have no control over your mind. The mind does with you what it wants. But 3, you have no control over your emotions. They rise and fall and change from moment to moment. Sampajanya. One important element is missing that they do not usually teach you. Sampajanya. Clear comprehension. It is not enough just to observe. You also have to understand what you are observing. One can see that some preparation is necessary before taking a Vipassana course. You need to understand what you see. Otherwise, why would you torture yourself for 10 days? People leave the meditation center as ignorant as they entered. They just say, oh, the impact of having to stay stuck on a cushion for hours was something that changed my life. But only the memory remains, but the mind is unchanged. It was only a momentary impact. Be like a painter who moves away from his painting. He sees it from a distance to see it in its entirety. He must be objective to see what can be improved. But then he approaches the painting again and corrects what he detects that needs to be improved. He does not leave the painting as it is. We are meditating like a researcher who, after his observation, draws his conclusions and acts upon it. So we have the pair Sati Sampajanya, mindfulness and clear comprehension. These two have to work together. Sampajanya, clear comprehension, clear knowing, thorough understanding by correct knowledge, jnana or wisdom, prajna. Mindfulness as bare attention is only the initial phase, but ignores various aspects of the experience. When mindfulness is reduced to a form of non-judgmental, present-centered form of awareness of one's experiences, it leads only to a one-sided form of quietness. In Mahari's teaching, one does not need anything about Buddhism. For him, sati is a state of bare awareness, a non-judgmental perception of things as they are, not affected by any concepts. But Buddhist practice is aimed at the attainment of correct view, and not just bare attention. Correct view, rather than no view, but a non-judgmental attitude. Buddhism seeks the development of liberating insight. The Vipassana meditation, as taught by Goenka, is said to have been practiced by the Buddha to achieve enlightenment. Who said that? Ignorant people. And other ignorant people just repeat this nonsense. When Buddha was attaining enlightenment, he was not scanning his body from head to feet. He was visualizing the dependent co-arising, the change of cause and effect. Paticca samuppada. If this arises, that arises. If this does not arise, that does not arise. That was his liberating insight. For sure, he did not do that simplistic body scanning for the purpose of noticing sensations. That is childish and shows the ignorance of those who say such a nonsense. He had already a long training of all the basics when he was with his two teachers before practicing by himself. Vipassana meditation is not a standardized method that cannot be changed. Just see my previous videos about the history of Vipassana. How many times it was changed. And what is practiced now as Vipassana is called the New Burmese Vipassana, a creation by some Burmese teachers a little more than 100 years ago. And Goenka insists, no mixing of other meditation practices with my Vipassana. But what is the difference between observing the breath when you are practicing Zen meditation or any Theravada meditation? None. The breath is the same breath in Zen, in yoga, in Theravada, because it is my breath. And what about the cross-legged sitting posture? It isn't some specialty of Goenka. People all over the world sit like this when they are sitting on the floor. The Goenka teachers make you believe that when you mix this Vipassana meditation with some other meditation techniques, you might go through depersonalization problems or hallucinations, or might even need psychiatric treatment. What a stupidity! Feeling one with the whole universe, isn't that also a hallucination? And depersonalization, isn't that exactly the anatta, the no-self of Buddhism? So, there's no problem with that. I was practicing all kinds of meditations, and I have never had any problem. And why? Because basically they are all the same. Holding the body still, observing the breath, detaching from the stream of thoughts. You will find this in Eastern and even Western meditation. So use your brain and do not believe anything what these great teachers say. Practice and find out for yourself. That is what I did.